call to order the Gladstone City Commission regular meeting of June 9th, 2025. Invocation by Commissioner Mantua.
Lord, thank you for allowing us to come together in this beautiful city of Gladstone, this wonderful state of Michigan, and the great United States. As we transact business in front of us tonight, let us have a clear mind to make decisions that are fair to all concerned. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Akala.
Here.
Commissioner Mantala.
Here?
Commissioner O'Driscoll.
Here.
Commissioner Pontius.
Absent. First up, we'll have public hearings. If anybody'd like to speak, they can step up to the podium and let us know who you are and where you're from. And please limit your comments to
Any public comment?
Yeah,
public comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no public hearings.
No public
comment. So limit yourself to 3 minutes, please.
Hi, everybody. Mike Mascart, Gladstone, Michigan, Superior Avenue. I'm here to clarify that point of clarity notice that was distributed to the Gladstone City Commissioners and Administration last month. Point of clarity notice. The sovereign have all political power. As one of the people, as seen in the 50 state constitutions, requiring a Republican-informed government, come to you in the peace and love of my Father God and Savior Jesus Christ. I am here sui juris, meaning of full capacity, sound mind, and legal age, to present this notice that you, our public servants, provide due care to those with all the political power. We the people, the sovereign, the supreme power. We the people, for it is we who created the government for the sole purpose of securing our God-given inalienable rights of life, liberty, and property. Please take note that we the people are sovereign with all political power, having authority over government, servants, and trustees, that governments which are instituted for us, for our equal benefit, security, and protection. For governments to work, the trustees and public servants must always be amenable to the people, meaning liable to be corrected, liable to being brought to justice, which is in the Black's Law, 5th edition, and or capable of correction from Noah Webster's 1828 definition. Most of us realize America's decline has been long in the works and is the result of a long train of government abuses and usurpations of the rule of law and the Constitution itself. We the people have been propagandized and lied to and demoralized. Politicians like Bill Clinton, who pushed NAFTA and free trade with China, have now lost us 90,000 factories. But was very good for the Clintons. These type of things happen in part by failing to maintain a Republican form of government, and believe it or not, Delta County was the first county in the entire nation to lose that status in 1970. They rewrote the Constitution in 1963, and it took 7 years of propagandizing and studies and who knows what to flip our government upside down. I'm not blaming anyone here, as it happened all pretty much when we were kids or maybe even younger. But it does present each and every one of you an opportunity to be heroes, to reinstitute a Republican form of government, or we can continue on as it has been done, and in my opinion, you'll all be zeros. Thank you for your attention.
Barbie Claremont and from Gladstone. To continue with that, with our notice that we gave you last month, it's the evidence from the first please take notice is the Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. He said, "We are all created equal. We have inalienable rights. They don't come from government. They belong to each of us. The government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. We are the sovereign in this country, we the people." I did give Kim a couple handouts. I hope you get them. And it states the link that you can go and watch Judge Gorsuch say this. I'm going to play the 17 seconds of it.
We are all created equal. We have inalienable rights. They don't come from government. They belong to each of us. And government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. We are the sovereign of this country, we the people.
Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch said, "We are all created equal. God created the people, giving us dominion over all things on earth. Therefore, we created government. We have all authority over it. We are sovereign. We have inalienable rights. They don't come from the government. They belong to each of us," he said. Inalienable is unable to be taken away or surrendered. They are inherited and fundamental. Rights, entitlements, that's what we all have. Even you have that. We're entitlements of freedoms inherited to individuals such as life, liberty, and property. He also said the government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. Government is willing elected servants, and the people govern over them. We are, and mind you, none of us knew this. We weren't taught any of this stuff. We are learning all this stuff now. And we want to bring it to your attention so you know and you're aware of it. We are the sovereign in this country, he said. We the people. You are one of the people when you're not sitting here. It's your families, your friends, everybody that you know, and yourselves that you have to protect. And that's how you protect them, is by using our constitutional rights, or our rights that are written in the Constitution, I should say. The Constitution of the United States of America, Article 4, the first part says, "The United States shall guarantee that every state in this union a republican form of government." And also, the Hosea 4:6 is, "My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, because they hast rejected knowledge."
3 minutes.
And then there's the preamble, and I hope that you read the preamble of the Constitution when you got that book last month.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Bonnie Huckle Escanaba. I'd like to speak as one of the people. Let's return to the Michigan State Preamble. We, the people of the state of Michigan, grateful to Almighty God for the blessings of freedom, and earnestly desiring to secure these blessings undiminished to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution. So posterity, as you probably know, means our descendants and our children and our children's children. I feel a need and a dedicated requirement to preserve and leave to my grandchildren the best world that I can, the best government available, so they will be able to live a vibrant life where individual liberties are protected. Luckily, our amazing founders left us a republican form of government which protects individual liberties. This is by way of our constitutional republic. So I'm reading the law to you. Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, political power. All political power is inherent in the people. That means that we are born with these inherent rights. And we control government because we as a people came together to form government. So the people's rights were here before government's rights. So the people stand above the government. Government is instituted for their equal benefit, security, and protection. Sole purpose, again, is to protect our rights of life, liberty, property, and many more. If you look at the Bill of Rights in the Michigan Constitution, they are addressed in the first part, and there's a lot of them. Maxim of law, all political power, again, is inherent in the people by decree of God. Thus, none can exist except it be derived from them. That's an American maxim. Maxims are settled law. It's long established, and it can't be refuted. In a court of law, maxims will hold over anything else. Maxim of law. One has authority when he has a legal or rightful power to act. Does a democracy offer protection of individual liberties? No, not at all. Individual liberties fall to what we call mob rule. Look it up. Only a Republican form of government offers individual liberty. Only it offers the people as the sovereigns, the one who hold all political power. The only king is our divine creator. The government office holders are political servants. That's who you are. You have chosen to become political servants, and we thank you for doing that job. But you must do the will of the people in order to be doing your job properly. It also requires that the people steer the government in the right way. This requires a broad dissemination of knowledge, and that's why we're here today, informing you of the roots of our country, the basis of our republic.
Your time's up.
Yes, and remember, we do our pledge allegiance to our republic for which it stands. Thank you.
Good evening, Stephanie Carpenter, Escanaba, Michigan. Please take notice that the people have assembled to consult for the common good and realize our duty and authority, which is to teach, to educate, and to inform the mind and the knowledge for one who is destitute of it. The authority and the power is delegated by principle to his agent, the lawful delegation of power by one person to another, and specifically to instruct our servants and trustees in all areas of government. Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Section 3, Assembly, Consultation, Instruction, and Petition. The people have the right to peacefully assemble, to consult for the common good, and to instruct the representatives, and to petition the government for redress of grievances. A Republican form of government guarantees that the people have the right to redress the grievances, meaning we have the right as people to bring the issue or the problem to the board before doing the business of the people. Maxim of law. Individual liberties are antecedent to all government, which means it comes before anything in the government's decisions. Maladministration. Please note that this is a term used in logbooks interchangeably with misadministration. Malfeasance is evil doing, ill conduct, or positively unlawful. Again, a Republican form of government is due process for individual liberties versus democracy, which we are not, which is mob rule, majority rules. We the people have assembled today to bring this to your attention, and hopefully you will choose to follow the Constitution and we the people. Thank you for your time.
Hello, Jim Stock, longtime resident of Gladstone. I'm going to start where Stephanie left off, maxim of law. A frequent recurrence to fundamental principles and a firm adherence to justice, virtue, and original law are indispensably necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty and good government, American maxim. And please take final notice. It is my wish, order, and demand that you publicly acknowledge the people's inherent right and authority to instruct all our servants and trustees in government by entering this notice into the May 12th meeting of minutes and post this notice within 7 days on Gladstone City website. If you believe any of the above claims are untrue, rebut by affidavit, which is a declaration in writing sworn under oath. Under penalty of perjury, point by point, within 7 days, showing your constitutional grant of authority to usurp, infringe on the people's inherent rights. Failure to respond means that by tacit acquiescence, you agreed all statements in this notice are truth and fact in the law and agree to have these matters heard before an arbitrator of my choice, to be bound thereby, and agree that no court shall be able to rehear this matter, but it shall stand as evidence of truth in all courts of records. A response from an attorney not directly addressed by this notice will be considered a non-response. This notice is sent to you in peace and love of Jesus Christ, that you provide due care to those who have all political power, the people. Maximum of law. Obedience makes government, not the name by which it is called. Now, I'm going to say this. Some people ain't going to like it. Associations and agencies are not in our Constitution. You guys are all supposed to only follow our Constitution and not stray from it. Public Act 33 is not in our Constitution. It's breaking it two ways. It's not in our Constitution to raise our taxes like that, and we also are not allowed a vote on it. Thank you.
Any other public comment? If there's no other public comment, we'll move on to the conflicts of interest. Any of those? Consent agenda, City Commission regular meeting minutes of May 12th, the DDA regular meeting minutes of April 15th, the Cook Sign Services invoice, the Hawkins LLC Water Treatment Chemicals invoice, PK Contracting road striping invoice, information check register May of 2025, and the information payroll May of 2025.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
A motion by Commissioner O'Driscoll, support by Commissioner Akala to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Next up, under new business, we have the social district discussion. Can you give us an update, Trish, on the social district?
Yeah,
It's illegal.
Kim, do you mind just flipping over? There were a few updates I wanted to provide on the social district before we begin this discussion. I was gonna say, if you key over, it might work. There you go. The first one is that we did receive our state designation on May 27th. So at this point, the state does recognize that we do have a social district, and they basically just said you can tell the establishments to send over their applications whenever they're ready. Kim, if you want to go to the next slide, we have finalized the logo. You're looking at it right there, and Olivia Capitalupo intends to send me several deliverables with different monochromes that would match our city branding as well. We are also looking to provide a little bit more of a simplistic logo for printing on the cups or whatever the establishments use, just to help alleviate some of the cost burden on them with all of the colors. So you may see something that would just be the bottom of it that says Gladstone Social District. But as far as signage and marking the boundaries, we did think that the color was going to help be identifiable and easy to spot. And then I will say we have 2 establishment applications on the agenda a little bit later this evening. I will say that since the social district has been announced, there's been a lot of discussions about collaboration. So one, this was before the social district, but when Saunders did do their Cinco de Mayo, I also recognized that on the same night, Wally's Bar was doing an event as well, and I know that Gary Poe had partnered with Saunders Point, so I do think that there's opportunity where the DDA might be able to help facilitate in the future more of a promotional event in a similar vein of those. I also know that Youth Empowering Services has talked to me about partnering with Downtown Day to do their fundraiser, if we could get this over the finish line. So there's really no details there. Dance It Up talked to me and even kind of pitched the idea of partnering with some of the downtown businesses on doing line dancing too, which I thought was a really fun idea. And then just over the weekend, Super Bloom is doing a spin-off of Mocktails. I think it's called Flora by Super Bloom. And it's a way to utilize their new patio set out in the back too. And that was actually a partnership with a member of the community that came forward and said, hey, I have this idea for Mocktails and you have this space that you're not using in the evening. And so together they were able to come up with that idea. And what was really cool is I am working with Whitney from Super Bloom on ways to incorporate that into the social district and make it a little bit more inclusive for all. And so I really just wanted to emphasize that there is some excitement happening right now, and it has sparked some of those collaborations, which I think is an exciting thing for our community. I did meet with Renee and Barry last week just to talk about the boundary marking and sign placements as well. I think we have a solid plan on that. And then at this point, I know that you guys wanted to put it on for discussion, so I'm available for questions.
Can open it up for discussion.
Is it still on track for later this year? Or was
Yeah,
it?
I would actually say we're probably ahead of schedule at this point. Now that the state application came back, the biggest thing is just going to be getting the establishment's applications to come back from the state, and then getting the signage ordered and up, which Barry said once he's got them, he'll probably get them up pretty quickly. So I think we're a little bit earlier than anticipated right now. I'm not going to give you a real date though.
Yeah, I know you were still talking about like by the end of the year, and I'm wondering if
Yeah,
that's still
I
the.
was thinking fall originally. I'm looking more towards mid to end of summer at this point.
I'm curious why the logo for the social district varies from the logo just approved a couple meetings ago for the all city activities. It was stated that evening that like each department would have a, the main logo and then their department reflected with the consistency of the logo.
Yeah. Will you flip back to that? Oh, there we go. Oh, I'm sorry, if you could go to the social district logo. So I worked closely with Olivia on this. So the font that you see at the bottom actually falls within our branding toolkit. And then the cursive G that is at the top of the tapper there also falls within the branding toolkit. So it pulls those colors in, or I'm sorry, those concepts all together. You may not be able to see it here, but the branding of it, the colors, that navy blue does match. Actually, the navy blue, the yellow, and the light blue all match the branding toolkit. That's part of the citywide logo as well. So there was thoughtful consideration around that so that it does all play nicely together. Now this isn't a full deliverable, this is just a visual for you, but the monochrome that you see printed on the cup there, she is going to be giving us deliverables of that in every color of the city branding as well. So the only new color that was introduced in this logo was the brown.
And I do notice that the font that Gladstone's written in is the same that Michigan was written in on the previous.
Exactly. Subtle touches, but we are required to have a separate social district logo, and so we wanted to make sure that it was cohesive across all of our branding, but also easily identifiable to the social district.
I think there might be a misunderstanding about Dance It Up, because I happen to know the owner of Dance It Up is very against the whole idea of a social district, so I doubt she meant line dancing in the social district with her girls.
Yeah, so she had specifically mentioned partnering with Jake on that. I wasn't confident that she had talked to Jake about it yet, so I wasn't going to present that here. So I don't know exactly what the vision was, but it was more so an idea of collaboration and finding ways. I sat down and talked to her. We probably talked for an hour, just working through what the social district was and what it meant as well. And it was interesting. I think we both had some takeaways from the conversation and understood each other better too. But it is possible that I misunderstood that it may not be the actual district outside, but in partnership with other downtown businesses.
Yeah, and I can't speak for her, but
Sure,
from
yeah.
what I know.
Any other questions, comments?
Is there any concern about the only having two establishments
Nope, the way that it's written is we just have to have two establishments that are contiguous with the common space of the social district. And I believe we have both Saunders and Wally's here tonight, and they're in the application. So as long as we have those, we can continue to proceed.
Are you considering any changes to the borders because of?
I have received no directive at this point from the board to make any amendments to the plan. So at this point, I'm just moving forward as directed. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, as it stands right now, we're going with what we approved last time.
Gotcha.
I don't have any questions. I'm happy with the follow-up.
There's nothing else, then thank you, Tricia.
Yeah, so I asked for the discussion, but I would ask that we table the discussion, looking at the packed agenda for another time.
You'd like to discuss it at another time?
Yeah, I mean, table it indefinitely, I guess.
Okay, can do that. I don't know that we need a.
It's
not an actionable item, so.
Right.
No, a discussion is not. So if you'd want to bring it back, I'd just need direction to
Yeah, I
put it
just feel
back on.
badly I asked for it, but looking at all these items,
No,
I'd
no
rather
prob-
not get into it now. Yeah.
Fair enough. So next up on the agenda is the social district establishment applications.
Yeah, so you have both of them in front of you, Saunders Point Brewing and Wally's Bar as well. We actually included the state application in the packet for you. It would be the city's responsibility to fill out, I believe it's page 2 of their application. So, for example, you would be looking at page 38 in your packet. Yeah, so that's correct.
Was there any indication that some of the other establishments would be joining on, or why they wouldn't at this point?
I think the American Legion, I just heard, they don't quite see the benefit yet for them, and that makes sense. And I know that the Dewdrops spoke also that they weren't sure of the benefits specifically for them. I have not heard from Mid Bar and Lounge. I have emailed them, but I haven't heard back. At this point, I'm actually okay that we're just starting out small. I think it's going to be a little bit easier for me to manage, and then we can also roll it out to the public in a slower pace to identify problems ahead of time before it gets too big too fast. But I do anticipate that once it starts getting utilized, we may see more interest as well.
Because didn't the Legion want it extended down to them?
Yes, for hot rods and Harleys, but I think when they realized that they had to pay a separate fee at the state level, they were a little bit more hesitant for that. And I think that there's just this idea of like, I don't fully understand the concept of it quite yet. I want to see how it goes, and then I might be able to justify it later. That's what I'm hopeful for. Obviously, we'll see how the dust settles with that. But.
So the application fee is the 70 and 250?
Yep, and that's at the state level, so there is no fee at the city level.
There's no fee at the city level?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tanya and Jake are both here as well.
Tricia, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I know you've researched the rules for these social districts extensively, so even if you don't know the answer to this, I'm totally fine with that. But it says in the rules that you cannot take a container from one establishment onto the grounds of another establishment. How is that going to affect the several events that Jake has planned? Is his establishment during those events extended out into the street that we've given him free rein with?
It's going to depend on whether or not it's a social district event or not. If it is a social district event and not specific to Jake, then any establishment would be able to have their drink in that part of Delta Avenue. But you are right that I can't take a drink from Wally's and bring it into Saunders Point. And so there will be different identifiable cups so you know where the cup originated from. But in the event of a special event permit, I've got to actually go in and figure out how we're going to navigate that. Right now, with a lot of Jake's specific events where we're shutting down the street, I'm just marching forward as if it's not going to be a social district event, especially since it's his insurance that's tied to that. And then when that first one comes up, we'll probably have to hammer on the details. So, yes, I've got to make sure that we're fully in compliance with that, but we'll just have to identify if it is a social district event or an establishment specific event.
So once we have a social district, it would behoove all future events at Saunders Point to be social district events. But if we close the street down for Saunders Point, it gets a little fuzzy
Yeah,
there?
it's going to get murky at that
Okay,
point, and I'll
okay.
have to look into it.
All right.
I would rather do the social district event just because, like you said, that was beer drinker and all the kids will always grab this and come back. But that's all depending on council what happens. And if it worked that way, I'd rather just cancel the special event.
But then we wouldn't have closed the street down for a social district event, it would have been for,
We could close it down for some social district event.
sure. Yeah.
Yep, and then at that.
But not a
point-
private social. There's
Right, unless
not-
it's a nonprofit, then there are some avenues for nonprofit.
Sure.
But at that point, the insurance coverage would switch to the city as opposed to his business insurance, so.
Okay.
I can shed a little light. I spoke to City Hall in Nagani today, and they said in that kind of case they do what they call a carve-out license for the special event. That's alcohol not provided by one of the licensed establishments in the district. So
Okay.
carve out.
For the nonprofit.
Nonprofit or even a for-profit.
Okay.
Carve out is the operative term.
Well, I would make a motion to approve the social district permit application for Saunders Point Brewing and Wally's Bar for consideration for approval by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission.
Support.
There's a motion by Commissioner Aquila, support by Commissioner O'Driscoll to approve the social district establishment applications. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you. Next up, we have the DDA board term reappointments.
Jason Lippens and Nathan Newmeyer's terms both expired in May of 2025. So in the DDA meeting for May, the DDA did recommend reappointment for both of those individuals. And based off of our bylaws, it is at the mayor and city commission level that those are approved. So we are recommending both of their reappointments with the term expiration of May 2024.
I would make a motion that we reappoint Jason Lippens and Nathan Newmeyer to the Downtown Development Authority with a term expiration of May 2029.
Support.
We have a motion by myself, support by Commissioner Mattila to approve the reappointments. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Next up, we have the roof replacement, public safety building. So to thank them for their service to the DDA.
Yes.
Yes, Public Safety put the infamous roof that's leaked since it was installed.
Can't believe it's 25 years old.
Yeah. And out on bid, and they received 5 bids, and went through these, and Barry did a lot of analyzing and over-analyzing, make sure apples were compared to apples, and we came up with Weaver Contracting, who was also the low bid, but they had bid a less desirable shingle, and he upgraded that shingle to what the others were bidding, and which would add $4,602 to this bid, and he would still be the low bid. So we would ask you to approve the low bid of Weaver Contracting for $45,852.
So with that change, everything's equal?
Yes.
What's that?
With that change to the other shingle, everything's equal?
Yeah.
That was the only thing off?
Out of the four that we got that were on time, 3 of them had been
How many year shingle is that gonna be?
They're all 25-year right now, but after talking to Noah Weaver there, he did a lot of landmark pro, and he said there's a lot better shingle than the landmark on heavier.
I like that you went to the extent of parsing out that there may be some sheeting replacement needing to be done, and that unknown is gonna be universal amongst whoever's doing the
Yes.
work, and therefore extraneous, I guess.
So if there's no sheeting or anything, you know, if it's just rip off, replace everything, we're looking at $45,852.
Better do it right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of rough.
356 bundles.
Wow.
Was any consideration given to the polymembranes that have been put on the schools over the last 10 years?
No, we didn't really consider it. Well, I didn't consider them just for the simple fact you got the school, you know, like the school, we got issues with the snow sliding off on the city's transformer. We gotta go up and clean all the time, so.
That is true. Blocking emergency exits and
Yes.
all the good things but it doesn't leak anymore.
Yeah, true.
The shingled roof being a
Yeah.
catastrophe on the high school. I'll make the motion to approve the low bid for Weaver Contracting for the roof replacement at the Gladstone Public Safety Building.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner O'Driscoll, support by Commissioner Mantala to approve the roof replacement low bid. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Next up, we have a purchase truck for water department.
April, so RFP for the bid process, local dealerships. And we received 5 bids ranging from 66,356 to 72,718.50. Using a criteria of cost, adherence to specifications, and delivery date, we're recommending accepting the proposal from Fox and Marquette, which landed pretty much in the middle. The 2 bids below, one had a delivery date as unknown. The other delivery date was 16 to 19 weeks. Fox could have it in 45 days. So that would be why we'd like to go with Fox. Fox is also the dealership that the DPW received their truck from last year. This truck would be similar to that truck. It's a service body truck, 4-wheel drive with a Boss snowplow. And then in addition to that, we would be asking for the rust proofing package for a total price of $68,819.75. This will be replacing one of our current work trucks. That's a 2004 Chevrolet 2-wheel drive, and really there's not much left to it. So
That was my old truck.
Oh my, that says a lot.
Well, we won't blame it on you.
Yeah, what'd you do to it?
Yeah.
I just have one question. What Riverside Ford and Riverside Auto Sales? They're not.
we went to 3
they-
different Riverside dealerships. One provided us a bid on a Ford. That was the one with the delivery date unknown. Then there was a Dodge.
That's Auto Sales Group is Dodge.
I believe so. The
Okay.
Dodge, and then there was the Riverside Chevy GMC,
Right.
and that one was the highest. The actual the Riverside Chevy GMC, LaFontaine, and Fox Marquette were almost identical trucks. 2 of them were the Chevy 2500. One was the GMC, but it was last year's model. So out of those 3 trucks that were nearly identical, Fox Motors was the lowest, with a good delivery time of 45 days. LaFontaine could deliver in 2 weeks, but they were higher priced and out of our area.
Just gonna put the other one up for bids to sell, or is it? I'm
You
just
know,
wondering.
it's got a really nice set of tires on it, Brad.
We could probably get more for the tires,
Than
than the actual.
part it out, okay.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to recommend the awarding of the bid to Fox Motors in the amount of $68,819.75.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Mantelis, support by Commissioner Aquila to go with the Fox Motors bid. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Next up, we have the electric department trailer purchase.
Yes, James is at training tonight, so I told him I would fill in. The electric department has an older trailer, and James likes to keep everything up to snuff. He thought of the idea of using the money from the sale of his truck to replace that trailer, and then he's gonna sell the trailer also at the same time and replace it with a newer trailer. The only glitch he had was he had the bid from 2 and 41 sales. That's the place right in Rapid River. They had they only had one trailer, and somebody bought that trailer, and so they're gonna have to order another one, or he can go the next size up, in which that's why he put the not to exceed $8,000.
So the capacity of the one that he may end up with might be bigger than 14K?
Yeah.
That's gotta only be good.
Yeah.
For $700.
I mean, with a new skid steer that probably, how much does a new skid steer weigh?
9,200 pounds.
Oh, it's well
There you
under,
go.
okay. But a few extra pounds of capacity is always nice, right?
Max it out.
Seeing that the money exchange, I don't see, does the Parks and Recreation Department have $8,000 in its budget for this year to purchase this truck?
Oh,
It's
they
not-
Or trailer, this trailer?
It's for electric department.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
to buy the Dodge pickup truck.
they already purchased it. They had budgeted in their budget. They're gonna pay for it over 2 years.
Okay.
That was in their budget, so.
It just wasn't, the previous item on the agenda was clear that it was within the budget.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion that we
It's a budget amendment.
approve the purchase of the trailer not to exceed $8,000.
Support.
Motion by myself, support by Commissioner Mantelis to approve the trailer purchase for the electric department. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Next up thank you. Next up we have the compliance of Michigan PA 229 energy waste reduction.
So under the Public Act, we were asked, I guess is not the right word, but we were
Told.
asked to
Told by the state.
Voluntold?
to put energy optimization on our billing, and that money went into a pool, and that money was supposed to be recirculated back to the customers when they replaced old appliances with Energy Star appliances. And we were under contract before with Efficiency United, and they were the group that would come to City Hall all the time. And we had it really worked out well, but we never would get enough people to take advantage of it, and so that pot of money grew, and so we've been participating in the last 2 years, but we've been taking it from the old pot and not charging it on the bill. Starting in next year, in 2026, our pot is empty, and so we need a new contract, and so we're hoping to go with the Efficiency United, because in our mind, they have the best program, and you can see it's about 2.5% of sales. Was it 2.2% of your annual revenues has to go into this pot and then put back for people replacing appliances. So.
So is this, how long is this contract for? You mentioned we hadn't been charging for it, and now the pot is gone, so we have to build that up again. So obviously we hadn't done it for a couple of years.
Yeah, this would just be for the it would be for 25, 26, 26 and 27.
Okay, and that meets the requirements of PA 229?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to authorize the City of Gladstone to enter into a contract with Efficiency United Program to comply with Michigan Public Act 229, the energy waste reduction, and allow City Manager Eric Buckman to sign the contract.
Support.
A motion by Commissioner O'Driscoll, support by Commissioner Bontius to approve the PA 229 use of UEI. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thanks, sir. Next up, we have extend the summer 2025 property tax due date.
Yep, this has been sort of a rubber stamp for the last 30 years anyway. So.
Make a motion to approve the extension of summary property tax due date to September 15th, 2025.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Mantua, support by Commissioner Aquila to extend the summer property tax due date. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Next up, we have local union 406 Teamsters letter of agreement.
Yes, Vicki and I were talking about this because a lot of the stuff she's been through, a lot of the communities around the state are going to in the summertime a 4-day work week, 4/10s, and I know it sounds like, well, you're closed on Friday, but what we've found is that it actually is working out better because for the people that work, they like to, now it's the front window's open at 7:30 and it's open till 5, and we can catch those people now, and they have expressed how happy they are. The fact that we started on June 1st and it's coming to the commission right now, I have to apologize for. It was a glitch between me and the union representative who had vacation planned, and so it got kicked to this meeting instead of the last one in May. But I did talk to the mayor about it. But I should have sent the email out to all the commissioners.
I like the
No, the
Well,
early
it was good
hours
until
are
I
nice.
had two neighbors say, I went to City Hall and they were closed. What's happening, Judy? And I went, well, let me get the egg off my face. I don't know. So we had a good chuckle, Eric and I.
So it's just till, you had mentioned till 5, are the hours at City Hall gonna be till 5 or 5:30?
The hours of the city hall hours will be 7:30 a.m. to 5.
7:30 a.m. to 5.
It says 5:30 in this.
Those are typical workday.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the workday is 7 to 5:30, and then the front window will be 7:30 to 5 because they have to close out everything.
And a half-hour lunch is included in that 10-hour day.
Yep, half-hour unpaid lunch like everybody else has.
I gotta say, I switched to 4 10-hour days 17 years ago and have never turned back, but I also own a manufacturing business where 90% is about manufacturing, 10% is about customer service. We'll have a little tougher time with the customer service, like Judy, received a call, but this is great for our workers. This is this is good morale building, and hopefully it has a good summer.
I think it'd be good for the public too once they adjust to it.
some early morning hours.
Yeah,
Could
'cause I
get
can
in.
never make it here by the time they close because I get out of work till 3.
Mhm.
And I like that it's written up as, you know, let's try and see.
Yep,
You know,
it's-
there's
and-
nothing better than trying to just see if
So
something.
it'll
It's only
just
for
be
10
this
weeks.
summer, and then the new contract
Right.
starts next year.
That's
So.
all I got to it, gone.
I'd make a motion to approve the letter of agreement between City of Gladstone and General Teamsters Local Year Union number 406 regarding City Hall for 10-hour summer work schedule as presented.
I'll support. Motion by Commissioner Hawkins, support by myself to approve the letter of agreement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Next up, we have the wastewater upgrades request for disbursement of funds, draw number 35.
Yes, draw number 35 includes stub payment number 36 totaling $70,000 and C2AE invoice 78601 totaling $15,530 for a total of $85,530. It's been kind of at a little bit of a standstill. We found some more cracks in that primary digester that they're fixing, and then they had to wait on some material to fix those cracks. We got some more material in today. Patching should be done by the end of this week. We're looking at all the piping for the mixers and everything installed, and the mixing nozzle adjustments on July 1st. So after that, then we can throw our sludge in there, make sure everything is running fine. I was shooting for July 3rd, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to guess probably that third Friday in July for final completion. And I will get a hold of Mr. Irby and give him an update.
Appreciate that.
Eric, I had made a comment about having a tour of the place for the commissioners. See if that maybe we can work on that.
Yep,
Everybody.
Rodney and I talked about it, and as soon as he feels he's ready.
Everything is ready.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'd say towards the end of July,
Mhm.
first part of August.
Thank you.
I'd make a motion that we approve the wastewater upgrades request for disbursement of funds, draw number 35.
Support.
Any other discussion? We have a motion by myself, support by Commissioner Mantala to approve the disbursement of funds, draw number 35. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Next up, we have the 2025 utility rates and fee schedule.
Yes, in your packet, put last year's, the 24-25, and the second group is the fee schedule that's proposed for this year. Going through the fee schedule first, the general government fees, everything is going to be staying the same as last year. Community development is there's some new things added. Did you want to say anything, Renee?
Yep, I can go over that. The first one that you see that's new, that's highlighted red, is the fence permit application. And this is kind of true for many of the applications that we have. We are switching to an initial application and then revisiting the application, because we get a lot of changes in the application, which requires me to completely review the application. And that basically currently gets done for free. And
And/or if they do need to make changes, then that does at least cover some of the costs that we have in having to do that.
Just if I, one question there. So they don't have to do the revision fee?
No, they don't have to.
So if they just get the initial fee and they do it as
Correct.
outlined in that, they're done?
So I'll use the fence as a good example. A lot of people will submit a fence application, which then requires a full review of me. I approve it, give it back to them. They take that approval, go get a bid on it, and decide, oh, this is way more than what we expected. So then they come back to me and have a revision, which then causes me to do all of that work again.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to kind of streamline this a little bit and be respectful of the taxpayers' money, paying for a service that, you know, the person that's receiving that service should be paying for it. And oftentimes it's not a full review, and I have some discretion with that. So if it's just a matter of I took out all the gates and, you know, it's just the fence is still in the same place, well, then I wouldn't charge them. But if they relocated it or changed it and I've got to do extensive work, this allows me then to charge them a smaller fee to move that forward. I did note that I've actually caught this idea from some other communities that are doing similar in their fee schedules, because whenever I look at our rates and what we're charging for fees, you know, we always compare what other communities are doing, and I stole this from Marquette, actually. I thought it just made sense.
But you saw a need for it because there's a lot of revisions?
I see the need because it creates a lot of work on Renee's
Okay.
desk. And I just want to encourage residents to think through what they're submitting, because a lot of times they just throw stuff at me, and of course, once I get an application, I have to review it. And this will encourage thoughtful conversation on both ends. And like I said, is, I think, more beneficial for all of the taxpayers and for those that are using it in a way that I just have this idea and throw it at me. So that should help. And you'll see next on the list, signs. I am starting to raise those for the residential areas. The residential area signs are actually a little more complicated than the commercial signs. They take a little bit more work because oftentimes there's not a sign company involved in that. And then the commercial signs, we were quite low on our sign permit applications as compared to other communities. So just, I raised those slightly. And I don't have last year's rate in front of me on my computer, so if somebody wants to flip back to that.
You raised it $5.
$5, yeah. So I'm just trying to get that a little bit in better use. The other big thing that I wanted to point out, zoning compliance permit for residential structure, that did go up. I believe that was $30. Eric, do you have the old one there? For zoning compliance, it would have just said zoning compliance.
Oh.
Residential is new.
I thought that was new, so.
We always did it for residential, but I'm separating out residential structure and then just zoning compliance with no residential structure. Because we use zoning compliance for commercial activities too, like if there's a new owner, for example, Sandbar, when the new owner came in, we use a zoning compliance permit for that, but there's no new build. And so we just will use the regular zoning compliance permit at that point. But raise that a little bit. That is basically for our building permits and checking setbacks and making sure everything is in compliance with all of the code. That is one of my more intense reviews for a residential structure. Takes the most amount of time. And so I did jump that percentage-wise higher than most of the other ones, but that's the reason for that.
What does it cost you to skip that step?
Well, they can't skip it, because if they try to go to the county will kick them back. They do sometimes skip the county also, and then that costs a lot of headaches. I wish that we could charge, a fee for not complying, but I've read some things that
and we should maybe get an attorney opinion on this, but, I read, we can penalize them with a civil infraction, but I know a lot of places will just say it doubles the fee. And I've been told by, some of the trainings I've gone to that that's not a legal practice to do. So I've just never done it, but we could impose a civil infraction, which could be $50 or $250 depending on which we do, but we just have never done that. But the fee to the resident could be, you might have to tear down something you've built because it doesn't comply, and it does take, like I said, quite a bit of work. We don't encourage that. The county's been really good as of recent, in the last, I would say, 2 years, of kicking them back. Sometimes they kick them back when they don't need to, because they're just so used to saying, have you talked to the city yet? And they just kick them back. And sometimes, like, if somebody's changing out a window for a smaller window, they don't need anything from me, they just need a building permit. But the county's just so used to send them back, so, sometimes they come back and they don't even need to, but. The cell antenna site application, I bumped those up, I believe $50, those went up. Those are quite cumbersome for the city to handle. And in looking at other communities, most communities charge in the thousands of dollars for those kind of things. So we're still very, very competitive with that. And honestly, I've never had anybody complain about those. They complain about having to do them, but they never complain about the fee. The special meeting request, raise that a little bit too. Oftentimes those special meeting requests require public notice and other actions to be taken. Most people, when they submit something that needs to go to the planning commission or even to your board, if they miss the day that the packets go out immediately, they just want a special meeting. As soon as we tell them there's a $300 fee, that's sort of, oh, well, I'll just wait till the next one. So they really can wait, they just want. And so having that fee there definitely helps me sort through who really needs it and who doesn't. Everything else I think was just a slight fee. The one thing that I wanted to point out is that we did add a fee for a subdivision, and I don't see it, it might be on the next page.
It's on there.
Yeah, next page.
Yeah, it's on the next page. And we do have a subdivision request that is pending and is waiting to be considered. And we found that we did not have a subdivision fee nor an application for that. So we did have to backtrack a little bit. And so we did implement this fee. It is quite low compared to what I saw in other communities, but because it was our first time putting it in, felt like, you know, we'll come in at a reasonable amount and then kind of continue to raise that up as we go. We've not had a subdivision submitted, I want to say 25 years. Kim hadn't had one when she was me. I've been here 18 years. So it's been quite a while since we've seen one of those. And then the last section that was added there, that municipal civil infraction fine, that has always existed and it's part of our code. But I did see when I was looking through other people's fee schedules that they had those listed out, and I just think it's a good idea for people.
I was gonna say, those aren't new.
No, they're not new, but it's just, I just think it's good to be transparent. Like,
No,
a lot of
I
people think I
agree.
make up those numbers. I don't make them up. They're in the code. But having it in the fee schedule is just another resource for people to see it, so. Thank you.
Okay, moving to the Downtown Development Authority and Farmers Market. Everything's staying the same as last year. Fernwood Cemetery, all those rates are staying the same. Public safety, their fees are all staying the same. And Public Works, their fees, there was no change. And Parks and Recreation, everything is staying the same except for the campground, the campground daily permits and weekly permits and monthly permits have gone up. Do you have anything you want to add?
Previously, you had asked for a rate study on the campground, and when I did it, I noticed that all of our rates were well below any of the neighboring campgrounds, so I raised them, but I raised them only to the lowest of what's around here, so.
Okay.
For the quality of our campground, those are great rates.
Still.
Yes.
You don't see those anywhere else that is comparable for a facility like ours.
Yep.
It's amazing how many people live in town that actually
Yes,
camp
that
there.
stay there, yeah.
Or in
Right.
just in Rapid River or
Yeah.
Escanaba, and they park it there. Yep.
Okay, from there, those would be the fees, and then from there we go to the utility rates and fees. The electric rates, the increase in electric rates are as per the WPPI rate and rate study, which includes the capital additions and future capital additions and inflation. The readiness to serve charge is going to be going up $1.50 for the residentials. And the rates are also going up. I didn't write that number down, but it's about a penny per kilo. 12.85 is going to 13.35. So on your average bill, if you use 1,000 kilowatts, your electric bill is going to go up $6.50 a month. And all the other power went up about the same amount. Then the parallel generation sites, we just had one rate. This is the buyback when you have solar or wind energy, and up to now we just had residential, which is staying the same at that 4.481 cents per kilowatt hour. Then the large powers will have a different rate buyback. Then moving on to their fees and the power cost adjustments, everything will be staying the same. The only change they're recommending is for someone caught tampering with their meter or flipping their meter, or cutting the seals or flipping the meter upside down, have that a $500 fee.
I noticed it says et cetera. I mean, why do we even have et cetera? Because somebody's going to probably protest that. You didn't tell me that. It just says et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it'd be any tampering, I guess.
Don't mess with your meter.
Yeah, don't mess with your
Yeah.
any tampering.
I mean, I think
You could die.
getting rid of that is probably.
Yeah, that would be good. Any tampering.
Jumper cables around it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, you didn't tell me. I couldn't do that.
I know the last person that was caught was flipping his meter upside down, so it was running backwards.
Ah, oh, geez.
And
think of that.
the read he wasn't timing deer season around when the meters were red and he was out at camp and
Okay.
okay. Any questions on the electric? If not, we can move on to wastewater. Wastewater rates are going as per, are increasing as per the rate study. We've moved on from the original rate study where it went for 5 years, and now we have a program that does the same thing, and it's recommending a 6% increase, which at 5,000 gallon average usage would be about $5.50 a month. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Rodney?
No, not really, not unless they have any questions.
You did present that at the budget time. I do remember you had that graph in there.
Yep.
And you had changed it, and so I think that program is really helpful, that we don't need to engage a third party. We
Right.
can do this live as needed and get accurate data.
The more we get used to it, and
Yeah.
you just got to make sure all the cells are filled in correctly. I figured that out. But yeah, no, it looks like next year and the following year, maybe at most 3% each year, somewhere in there. So we're getting to where we should have been a long time ago.
And
as
that's,
far as
and that's
rates.
planning, just so everybody knows, that's planning for future
Yes. For
not
future
upgrades, but just
projects.
upkeep and maintenance of everything. So those rates are, that's what that's for.
Yep.
Because people are gonna ask, you just spent all this money on a new thing, why are you raising the rates? Well, we have to pay that,
We still
and
have
then,
lift stations out there.
yep, and all the other infrastructure that needs,
Right.
and this program projects that out to where we need to be, so we don't have to take out massive loans or bonds to do that. We have the funds there to attack these projects when they come up.
Yes, the funds will be there when
Right.
we hit the next project.
So we're banking it for ourselves instead of, we got low rates now we gotta raise it 20% to pay back this bond.
Yes, exactly what we went through
Yep.
in the last 3 years.
Well, and we've all seen what happens when infrastructure crumbles and all the pipers come looking to be paid just 7 miles away.
Right.
Okay, moving on to water rates. Rates for water are going up on a little bit more, but the rates are lower than the wastewater rate. So it's about a 10.4% increase, which will be $4.50 a month. That figures into, Rob has got a, water department has a couple of big projects that will be coming up. And so that's figured in there. Did you have any?
Just
thing?
that this is the first rate increase on the 5/8 customer, which is the majority of the customers. This will be the first raise in 4 years on that, and the first raise in the commodity charge in the past 5. So, and like Eric said, it would cost a 5,000 gallon a month customer about $4.50 per month more, for a total of $54 for the year.
And then on the fees, you had a increase in the tap fee for a regular lateral connection, and
Yeah, and we also went up on there's places up on the South Bluff where the main is on the opposite side, so it's going to cost more, so talked with a couple of different contractors we use, and we came up with a number we thought was reasonable for the, doing a directional bore under the road of the tap. So that's a new fee in there of $3,000. And then, as Eric said, we went up on the regular tap fee. A few years back, we went from 600 to 800. This year, we went to 1,000. Right now, on just a lateral tap for someone, the materials are probably between $400 and $500 just for the materials.
And last but not least, the solid waste rates for the garbage pickup. And did you have anything you wanted to talk about, Barry?
Oh, I'd just like to point out a couple of things. First off, on our pickups, would be going. It's basically 3% raise on everything other than the monthly customer charge. $14.06 a month will be the new rate. I'd just like to point out, back in 2012, when we switched over to the automated truck, we went out for bids for garbage collection. Out of the 5 bids we had, 2 of them are out of business right now. The other one was a startup. He wanted to buy our old trucks to pick garbage. And the 2 that were in the business, was the city of Escanaba and Escanaba Pickup. They were at $14 a month and $15 a month, and that was 13 years ago, and we're right at $14.06. So we're getting a pretty good bang for our buck on that. The monthly customer charge, if we go with the new rates there, we'll include composting. I switched the street sweeping over because the state of Michigan, in their new solid waste plan, street sweeping is in the solid waste. City cleanup, it covers alley maintenance, administrative costs, and legacy costs. We have two and a half employees right now that are on MERS defined benefit that comes out of that also. So. And still, you're looking at $23 a month for garbage pickup and everything else that goes along with it. I think I'm paying $32 a month for garbage pickup alone.
Barry, question about street sweeping. I know this is something I hear out in the community because of neighboring communities. What additional cost would this fee be if we offered fall street sweeping of leaves raked out into the street?
If we offered streets, we've been out of that business for 13 years. We were looking probably $50,000 a year. And that would just be downtown area. That's expensive. There's companies out there that'll pick your leaves up for you. I don't think it's fair to the one homeowner that picks his leaves up paying for the other homeowner next door that gets his leaves picked up by the city.
It's good exercise too.
Well, you can come up to my house then.
I thought it was a good time to ask because
Yes.
it's a question that comes up, and things
no,
cost
and
money. Things do cost money. And
I talked to numerous communities that still pick their leaves up, and they all say, "How do you do that? How do you get away from that?" Well, we just stopped. Took a couple of years, of griping, but it's done with, And it's a huge expense.
Questions related to solid waste. How's the response been for the cleanup permits? Does anybody know?
I don't know. We had.
I know I used mine, and I
600 and some.
Okay.
We printed out, and I don't know what we're down to, but
I just wondered if it came. I just wanted to remind people that's still usable to the end of this month. $35. You can use it for anything at the landfill. That's televisions, mattresses, anything you bring in there.
You can also bring refrigerators. That's how I used mine.
Okay, and so,
That pays,
Yep.
that pays for $35 of
Of
the
that dispo-
40 that they charge
so
us,
it's-
so.
471.
okay, so so, I just encourage. I would just encourage everybody to do it because it's a great, helps clean up your stuff and keeps the city clean, and I think it's a good deal. Any increase on tipping fees at the landfill this year?
They increased them in January, I wanna say it was $3 a ton,
Okay.
and I'm sure it'll go up another buck or two, probably not
Next year?
January. It's-
No huge increases though, that they have in their horizon?
No, not
No big
huge.
projects where they gotta go,
No, they're paying off
the cell?
a cell right
Yeah.
now that was $4.5 million that, 2 years earlier, you could put it in for $1.5 million,
Yeah.
I think the big question is gonna be recycling, because nobody recycles at the rate the state wants people to recycle at, and
Don't even get me started on recycling. I asked last time, why do we even do it? It's only 5% of plastic that's put in the recycle bin is actually recycled. 95% of it ends up in the landfill.
Yeah.
Just a total increased cost for the consumer and energy usage, so don't. I already know.
You already started.
There's other people I need to talk to about that.
Light a fire in Brad's.
I was just looking down the line, so no big increases
No.
next year, 2 years that they've indicated.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is everything on my little spreadsheet. I always take my average bill, and with electric, wastewater, water, and solid waste, so my bill it will be going up about $19.50 with all the rates a month.
I'd make a motion to approve the utility rates and fee schedule as presented with an effective date of August 1st, 2025.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Akla, support by Commissioner O'Driscoll to approve the utility rates and fee schedule as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Thank you for
carries.
all the work that is involved in that. Much appreciated.
No, and I know everybody works hard to keep those fees
Exactly.
where they need to be for future improvements and maintenance, but at the same time, keep them as low as possible for everybody, so thank you.
Next up, we have the YMCA proposal for lifeguarding services.
Yes, ever since it's been a few years now. We used to have our own little herd of people that love being lifeguards, but we had to supply training, and then it got to be a war between Escanaba, Gladstone, and the YMCA, who was paying their lifeguards the most money, and it got so it was hard to open up our beach at times. So we've been contracting with the YMCA. And this is this year's proposal. Do you remember what it was last year? It was.
It was 19, it was just about 1,000 under.
Yeah, it was right around 19,000. That's what I was going to say too. So.
Is there a particular reason why the contract with YMCA goes through August 8th, which is a Friday?
Those are just the dates they give us for what they can provide.
Okay, so do you think that they could provide Saturday and Sunday of that weekend, or is that the limit of what they had people for? Or
I would assume it's the limit of what they have people for, because colleges go back to school mid-August usually, and they probably get a limited number of people after that.
I mean, I'd be interested in making a motion that included 2 more days.
I could ask.
And because, for the money, I think we would cover I believe every weekend up until Fair Weekend then, and it would just make logical sense to cover Saturday and Sunday after having a lifeguard on Friday. that just makes sense to me. Well, I would make the motion. Is it fair to have extrapolated by taking the 20,921, divide that by 34 to get the per day rate?
Yeah.
I would make a motion to approve a contract to provide lifeguard services at the beach for the summer for 36 total days of work for a sum of $22,100.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner O'Driscoll, support by Commissioner Pontius to approve as presented by.
What, the numbers he said?
Whatever you said.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Thanks. City Manager's report.
Let's see, Gladstone Public Library Story Hour on Wednesday, June 11th. When it started is 10:30 to 11:30. We put out the advertisement. We're looking for a part-time zoning administrator, so Renee can get out to her fields in St. Nicholas. There's gonna be traffic signal maintenance on June 17th at 5 a.m. at the intersection of US 2 and US 41 and 35. They're going to be changing that light over. The skateboard park got a makeover last week, and it was it's the 2026 National Honor Society kids came and cleaned it all up. Did a really nice job. Our public safety took part in the kids pedal with police. That happened on the last day of school. It was in the paper. And we got a change to the city hall operating hours, as we talked about earlier. We'll be open 7:30 to 5 and closed on Friday. We got a notice last week that Northern Michigan Public Service Academy is going to be closing their doors. I don't know if the commission knew what we called it NIMSA, and it was a group that all the communities got together, and we're required to have all this state training, and there was other training that they did, like working with difficult people and programs like that. They had psychiatrists, and anyway, we had the training was always up at the Lakeview Arena, and it was good training, and it was cheap training, and so we used it quite extensively. And I'm gonna hate to see them go. We're gonna have to figure out a way of replacing that. Let's see. Vicki and I met with MERS. Because of the way we got the grant, the pension grant from the state, like other communities did, and the way we applied the grant is the state treasury has come up with rules, and we have to switch the money around to how we applied the grant money. Instead of applying it we applied it to the whole picture. They want you to pick a specific group, like be it whether it's public safety or the supervisor group. And nobody probably understands what I'm talking about, but MERS is complicated.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And
They
so
are changing their rules all the time.
yeah, so Vicki and I are working with them to get that corrected, so Treasury's happy. And good news, Renee and I have been meeting with a new company that is very interesting interested in purchasing Delfab, the big building behind us. And it'll be a really good boost for Gladstone. It's we talked to him this afternoon, and he is very sure it's going to happen, and it's going to mean jobs and big cleanup, and it's going to be good news. But that's about all I can tell for a couple more weeks.
Okay.
So,
percent chance that it goes through? Is it high or?
He did tell us that.
He said 98%, which I don't believe in percentages. So
Either is or it isn't.
I don't know what
Yeah.
I don't know what matrix he used to measure that, but
Okay.
they are real excited about moving part of what they would be moving the part of the business that's in Indiana here, so it'll be good.
He did say too about 40 jobs.
Yep.
Look forward to that.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Eric. City Commissioner Committee reports, Border Commission reports. You got a farmer's market update?
I just wanted to take a minute and talk about our little farmers market. We kicked off with opening day last week. We had beautiful weather. I know at our last commission meeting, Eric mentioned that we were bursting at the seams with vendors. We had an awesome day. The turnout was wonderful. The vendor quality was incredibly high, and I told you we were at capacity last time. Samantha, my downtown ambassador, afterwards told me that she had 10 additional vendors reach out to her after that market wanting to get involved. So while we are full, we are exploring ways to bust out into the sidewalk and streets a little bit, still making sure that we're accommodating for everyone. But if you would humor me for just a moment, there were 2 news articles that were ran. The first one Kim has queued up for you. And I think it's just going to paint a picture of what the environment was like down there.
The city of Gladstone kicked off its 2025 Farmers Market this afternoon. WDSC 19 Andrew Hans was there to speak with some of this year's new and first-coming vendors.
Today, the Gladstone Farmers Market opened their season with an outstanding turnout. This year brings back many returning vendors such as Gladstone Berry Farm, who have said this is the largest opening day they've seen in their 5 years there.
This is probably the biggest I've seen it since we started, and it's looking up to be a good year. We're looking forward to it.
Many stands were sold out in just over an hour, including new vendor Yellow Dog Sourdough. Owner Kim Fleur says she had a fantastic first experience with plenty of support from the community.
Well, people have been very supportive. I've done very well. Sold out of myself, so that is something I'm very proud of. It's very overwhelming the support everyone's had for me.
This summer, Gladstone Downtown Ambassador Samantha Gavino is coordinating her first farmers market season, and so far has been quite the place refresher.
So I have been working with the city of Gladstone for a little over 6 months, but this is my first market season. So all new for me. It's a learning curve, but it's so far been great. The energy is great, and I'm hoping it keeps up.
She says there's no better way to show support to local businesses.
These vendors pour their heart and soul into their small businesses, and honestly, coming to support them each week means more to them than they can express.
The Gladstone Farmers Market will run from 3 to 6 p.m. every Monday through September. It can be found at 907 Delta Avenue in downtown Gladstone. Andrew Hans, News 18 News.
And then, Kim, if you go to the YouTube tab at the top, I also have TV6s. And while the messaging is the same, the way they can, oh, did it get closed out? Well, that's okay. We can just run with that one. I just want to say Samantha has been incredible, and that she wasn't able to make it tonight. She was wrapping up at the farmers market and had to head home afterwards. But I don't know if you've picked up on this about me. I have very high standards for myself, so it's hard for me to let go of control and give something to somebody else. But Samantha has just proved me wrong, and it's been such a humbling experience, and I think I really hired a gem in her. I'm really excited, and it just goes to show when you invest in one thing and do it well, it can have a really big impact. So I think the quality is more important than the quantity, especially in what the DDA is offering. But I am looking forward to the next stepping stone, and she was just really able to take it to the next level. It's really a good thing for Gladstone.
How did they like the new pergola?
They love it. The number one question that we're getting is, Barry, when are you going to get the roofs on them? And he said tomorrow. So, no, the pergolas have been an excellent addition, and now that they're up, I'm envisioning hanging flower pots and things just to make it a little more lively and beautiful down there. But it's fun. I hope that you guys find an opportunity to walk the market square this summer, more than once, weekly, if you could.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next up, we have city commissioner comments.
Oh, yeah, so this isn't a motion or anything, but I wanted to seed the idea of potentially exploring vacating 10th Street north of Delta to the alley, converting that to green space. I've had that suggested to me by a couple people. Depending on the underlying title, if it's fee simple, I don't know, the city could sell that little plot of land, or in other cases, I guess it divides down the middle of the road, and half goes to one landowner, half goes to the other landowner. So I don't know don't know any of the details there. And of course, this would be a long road of consulting with the neighbors and the businesses and making sure this is all okay. But the idea is for potentially like a little pocket park right there in that little spot just north of Delta, going up to the alley, put into green space, and then new parking put along Delta to make up for any parking lost from the road there. So I don't know anything about the feasibility of that vis-a-vis traffic patterns, but I'd really like to us to consider exploring that in the future. That's all.
I just want to show some support for Norway Knights baseball, Escanaba Eskimos softball, and our Gladstone Braves softball tomorrow as they go to the quarterfinals and hopefully head on to East Lansing for the weekend. That's it for me.
Just keep an eye out for the kids out there yet. Lots of summer activities, and they're all around. So that's all.
Just to thank you again to everyone for all their contributions. Much appreciated.
Yep, thanks for everybody's patience, and have a good night. Any quick comments?
Nothing to share tonight.
All right, then we're
Thanks.
adjourned.
15 minutes of preamble.